What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits here on a Wednesday, October the 8th. Let's get the banners up here, people. Bio, my man. Oh, last night, I tell you. Still feeling the sting of that, which you know I'll unpack momentarily. But it is October 8th. Another live stream here midweek, lunchtime where I'm at, breakfast time where my guy Bio's at out in LA, which I'm sure right now he's relishing at the fact that he's got his dustpan and broom out for the Phillies as the series will continue out at Chavez Ravine. We'll get into that momentarily. We'll get into all of what's happening in baseball. 4 games today. Could have been 3. I don't want to say should have been 3, but could have been 3. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But you got 4 games. You got a very good NFL schedule. Week 5, you have an even better college football. NHL began last night. I want to talk about that a little bit, as well as a new channel for yours truly. Now, before you get crazy, be like, oh, God, now I got to subscribe somewhere else. Oh, now I have to find out or figure out how I'm going to incorporate 2 different channels. Well, one more time, I'll have to explain later on so you can get a good feel as to why I'm doing this. And actually mentioned this a bit last week, so that will be later on in the live stream. So definitely want to hang out. Yeah, I know, exactly. Spoke too soon. But here's the thing. We thought, and we're going to expound on this later if you're wondering what these comments are in reference to. Yeah, we thought it was going to be a done deal. It was going to be a wrap. And with the way that the series had started, we thought it was going to continue that way. And it would have been fascinating. I would have been just ecstatic. This live stream, it would have been a party. It would have been celebratory. Well, maybe we'll have to wait for tomorrow until Vladislav, welcome, my friend. Glad to have you on board. And yes, thank you for that link that you sent. I appreciate that. I responded to you on that. So when you get a chance, no rush. Don't even need to reply. But thank you so much for that link that you sent. It's not sports related, but it was certainly very enlightening and very interesting for that matter. And people probably saying, all right, what is JAYREELZ talking about? But that's for me and Vladislav. But with that being said, and Vladislav, I'm going to get to some other stuff later. Football, basketball's coming in a couple of weeks. I know you're all over the basketball. I know I got to start with baseball in a moment, which I know you may get lost here. So hopefully just by my enthusiasm and my exuberance, and yeah, there's going to be a little bit of, how could I say? I don't want to go as far as saying hate. When I talk about hate, it's sports hate. But yes, you're going to be entertained by what it is I have to say. So hopefully you'll manage and hang on board or stay on board and hang in there while I get through the baseball. But yes, as always, share your thoughts in the chat room. Obviously, I'll post them for those who are watching on the replay. Although I haven't gotten any responses for those who have watched a replay, but feel free, leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to follow up and inform you guys and gals on what it is that I'm doing on top of answering any questions, comments, etc. So before I begin, and I know Cole, I'm waiting for him to come in here as well as a few other people, but I got a surprise. And no, I don't have a graphic for it, which I'll get to in a moment. But my beverage of choice for those who follow, and right now it's empty. So you're probably wondering, did JAYREELZ already have his H2O as water, or maybe it was vodka today? No, certainly not any of the hard stuff. But I have a surprise. All right. So in this container, you see it's not crystal clear. You're probably thinking, JAYREELZ, what are you drinking? Is that river water? Is that something? No, that is from an actual coconut. I told you I was going to bring the coconut water. And yes, not from a bottle. There you can see right there. That's the top of it. I saved the meat. If you look inside there, I get all that out. And what I do is I freeze that, or I'll put it in smoothies. I'll blend it up with other water, or coconut water, that is. Oh, and I'm dropping this. I know the dog's going to get to this now. This is what happens when you're doing a live stream. You make a mess. So, yeah, if you can believe it, today it's coconut water, people. So, as I've been mentioning for the last couple of weeks, and I forgot last week, and this morning I said, wait a minute, I got to take a trip to the Asian supermarket to get this so I can show everybody. So, and that's how I drink my coconut water. No, I don't use, and this is isn't to knock any brands by any means, because, hey, if they wanted to hop on board, that's fine. But to me, when I drink coconut water, I buy it from the source. So that's it. And here it is. This is a young Thai coconut. And one more time for those who are just jumping on board and they're probably wondering, what is this? We're doing a tutorial or show and tell. So yes. So that's why you take out the meat inside and you can make so many other dishes. So with that being said, and the only reason why I had the container here is because if not, oh man, this sucker's almost to the top. And this was just from the one coconut. So here we go. Cheers to you guys. I don't want to make a mess. Oh man, it's nothing like that. I know I had the watermelon juice a couple weeks ago, and yeah, anything that's tropical is right up my alley. So when you're talking coconuts and anything with the word coconut in it, it could be, it doesn't matter. I love coconuts. I love just anything with coconut in it. Coconut custard, coconut cream pie, coconut ice cream. I actually make my own coconut ice cream. But again, this isn't a cooking show, right? So I digress. I just wanted to show you the coconut water because I've been saying for weeks, H2O, vodka, rum, this, that. And I said, I gotta have coconut water. And there you go. And sponsored by no one, no brand, etc. Now let's get cracking. As I clear my throat here. Let me see a couple comments here. Ozzy, yes, that's right. Only positive comments and vibes. You know that, Vlad. Or Pop. I'm going to start calling you Pop now. Or Vlado, which I saw also based on your comments. Yes, Vlado, cheers. Or I'll call you Vladislav. Of course, that's your name, but Vlado too. And then obviously, shout out to your mom. I hope she's doing well. I hope she is in good spirits and good health. Not only to you, Vlado, Pop, but to everybody in your family as well. All right, here we go. It's Elimination Day Part 2. Last week we had Elimination Day Part 1, where the Yankees were on the brink, where the Padres were on the brink, where the Reds were on the brink. And lastly, out of all the wildcard teams, you had the Guardians on the brink. Excuse me. So now you have a situation where today you have, again, those 4 series, and mind you, it was a best of 3, so it was after game 1, so obviously it was going to be Elimination Day. But now you have a scenario where all 4 series will be playing today, and all 4 could have a sweep in the process. So I got to start off with this game last night. To my guy Bio out on the West Coast, we were texting back and forth, and he said to me, Yanks are done. This was after the Anthony Santander hit to make it 6-1, and I was with my father-in-law. I went to the in-laws, who's a huge Yankee fan. And he said, oh, it's over, this and that. And listen, I was being diplomatic and I was being fair. Because, yes, as much as I wanted to throw dirt on the Yankee season because the grave has already been dug in, and, yeah, you know me, I'm the first in line to throw dirt on their season. But I said it's the top of the 3rd inning. There's still an entire game to go. And Shane Bieber is the pitcher. And the Yankees waste Shane Bieber over the years. All you got to do is look at that wild card game in 2020, the year he won the Cy Young in the pandemic year, and he didn't do well. And even in the 2022 playoff, I'd have to pull up that graphic, but even then he wasn't great. So I hate to say, the guy's come back from Tommy John. I understand he's been a very good pitcher in the sport. Does have a Cy Young, although he did it in 2 months' time. But let's face it, Yankees feast off of Shane Bieber. And I don't want to go as far as saying that he's washed, but the Yankees, they forget about it. That's like a matador to a bull. And what they did last night was they got him out of that game early. And all he needed to do, Bieber, was pitch 5 innings. Could he have done that with a 6-1 lead? And as it was, after Guerrero hit the home run to start the game, they gave them a gift back thanks to an old Yankee, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who botched that ball there at second, which would have ended the inning. But, of course, Giancarlo Stanton gets a base hit, scores Judge, and the game is now 2-1. And then you had a scenario where after they took that 5-run lead, the Yankees got 2 in the bottom of the 3rd, which was huge. Because anytime that you're trailing in a series, or in a case trailing in a game, and for the Yankees case, they had trailed the whole series. And all they had to do was just get 1 run, even 2, and they got the 2 to cut it to 6-3. And I thought that was huge. Because then what happened in the bottom of the 4th, For whatever the reason, Austin Wells has a pop-up to left field, and I understand David Schneider is not Barry Bonds. But for Schneider to not call off Addison Barger there, and Barger, that was a tough play for him, and it looked like the wind carried that a little bit toward the end. If you look at the finality of that play, or toward the finality of that play, as he's trying to track the ball down, and then he takes a few extra steps where he drops the ball, and that was with 1 out. So, of course, that opened the floodgates to where Judge had an 0-2 count after Trent Grisham walked. And then what happens on an 0-2 pitch off of the pitcher Varland, who had already surrendered 2 home runs and 5 at-bats to Judge in his career. And what does he do? He throws a fastball up in his, pretty much in his pots and pans in his kitchen, to use old baseball parlance. And all he does is he turns on that pitch and he hits it off the foul pole in left field. And Judge, who has gotten a lot of hits, a lot of singles, sprinkling a double or two. He had a double for an RBI there in the 3rd inning. And all he does is he rings it off the foul pole. 6-3 becomes 6-6. And that not only turned the game around, turned the series around, and Judge is now looking like a conquering hero. And Judge, for all of his postseason foibles in the past, now he is hot as a pistol. And as you saw there last night, tied the game. Then you had Jazz Chisholm in the bottom of the 5th hit the home run to take the lead, and that was it. So the bullpen of the Blue Jays, they are atrocious. And you saw that there the other day in game number 2, where they tacked on all those 7 runs after Trey E. Savage left the game near perfect. So that Blue Jay bullpen, which, oh, by the way, they're going to have a bullpen game today. Oh, goodness. This series has 5 games written all over it. It really does. Now, 2 other things. Boy, did they ever get Carlos Rodon off the hook, because now that game is an afterthought for him, because as much as the Yankee fan could pile on him because of the heroics of Judge and the Yankee bullpen, which was shockingly near perfect. And that could bode well, but that could also flip, too. Tonight, if by any chance, and I can say this right now, Cam Schlittler, who went 8 innings against the Red Sox, 5 hits, no walks, 12 strikeouts, he is not doing that tonight. I can almost take that to the bank. Maybe he'll go 6. I doubt if he goes 7. Maybe he'll pitch into the 7th. But I see a reversal of fortune with him. Not to say he's going to be 2 2/3, but there's no way he's going to come close to what he did there in his first start as a Yankee in a playoff setting, to where he just dominated the Red Sox. And the Red Sox offense, let's face it, they are not any good. It is a far cry from the Big Papi, Manny Ramirez, Trot Nixon, Kevin Millar, going down the list. So what we have here is a scenario where last night it was Judge and the Yankee bullpen, and Rodon, who, as I've said a zillion times, you cannot trust to save your life with. And as it was, he imploded again last night. But yeah, they got those 2 runs there. Barger the error, Judge the home run, Chisholm take the lead, and then the Blue Jay offense went to sleep after that 3rd inning. Largely in part to the Yankee bullpen. All right, fine. So give it up. So now what does that mean for tonight? I will get to that later on as I'll break down these games. Well, you know what? What the hell? I'll break them down as I go along here, since I'm still in the Yankees. But the Blue Jays could not put the stake through the Yankee heart. They were ready to get the axe, and I kind of hate to use these graphic terms, but this is just for sports purposes, people. They were ready. They had him beaten. They had him battered, and they were ready to take the sword and go right through. And what happened? They decided, no, let's put our swords away for one night. And they just got the Yankees off the deck now. Because Schlittler, this is a huge start for him, and I'm sure they don't want to go to that Yankee bullpen because, let's face it, as great as they were yesterday, do you expect a repeat performance? And you can say the same for the Blue Jay bullpen, but I don't know if somehow, some way, the Yankees play from in front, and even if they're trailing, look what happened there yesterday. How I look at it is that the Yankees are not cooking with gas. And unless the Blue Jay bullpen is going to be lights out, which I don't think it's going to be, this series is going back to Toronto. And I even said this Sunday afternoon when the score was 11-0, 13-0, where my father-in-law, and I was hanging out with him then, and I may have said that on the podcast Monday. If you haven't listened to it, of course, Apple, Spotify, JAYREELZ.com, the YouTube channel here at JAYREELZ. But they said, oh, it's over. It's over. It's like, well, how is it over? They still have their home games to play, and anything can happen in a series. Now, deep down inside, I had my fingers crossed, and I was hoping that this would have been over last night because, boy, this would have been a party. I would have had favors. Who knows? I probably would have been drinking vodka instead of coconut water today. Quite possibly. But with that being said, now that the Yankees have a pulse and Judge is on fire, and finally he has awakened from his 205 career postseason batting average coming into this postseason, and now he's batting, 524 or whatever it is. Now, I don't know if he's going to cool off any time, and he certainly made up for what happened there the other day in game one where he had bases loaded and nobody out before he struck out there where Bellinger had to get the walk, and then we saw what happened there with Ben Rice and Giancarlo. So he made up for that. But there's still a lot of work to do. And even though a game 5 in Toronto Friday night, I still think Toronto, with their crowd, maybe that'll be enough for them to get by. I understand it's a little bit premature, but that's why you're going to have to listen to tomorrow's podcast pregame. And for those who are hopping on board or listening to the replay, here it is. And I understand last week I didn't. It was just a rough night into the next day. Podcast pregame live, 9:30 a.m. So there could be a party, and we could say a rest in peace to the 2025 New York Yankees, which I hope and pray and cross my fingers. Or if not, I'm going to have to preview a game 5 where I'm going to watch somewhere on Long Island tomorrow or Friday night because, I tell you, anybody but the Yankees. Anybody but the Yankees. Now, listen, they still have a ton of work. Even if they do win this series, they go to a championship series. And with the way the Mariners are playing, I'm going to get to them next. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But the Mariners have not had good luck against the Yankees other than, when you think about it, 30 years ago, almost to the day. Can I pull that up here real quick? That Yankee-Mariners series in the 95 playoffs where, oh, man, and this is a true story, people. And I'll probably talk about this more on the podcast, but you know what? What the hell? I'll talk about it now because I got to have some vibes in order to try to get this Yankee team out of the postseason. Yeah, game 5. When was that game 5? Oh, my goodness. Is that right? Oh, these are the vibes right now. Look it up, people. These are the vibes. 30 years ago to the day was when the Yankees and Mariners in a game 5 where the Mariners had a lead and they came back. And then it went into extra innings. And in extras, I remember what happened in the extra innings. Did the Yankees score on the top of the 11th? No, they did not. All right. But the Mariners had to score 2 in the bottom of the 8th. They were down 4-2, and they tied the game. And then in the 11th, as a matter of fact, yeah, it was 4-2 Yankees. Mariners tied it, bottom of the 8th. And then the Yankees scored a run on the top of the 11th. And I remember the bottom of the 11th as if it happened literally 5 minutes ago. I was in my old apartment, studio apartment in the Bronx. And at the time, my dear friend, Rich Rodriguez, who I may actually see Friday, and that would be ironic to see him for game 5 again. Well, anyway, and my ex-girlfriend in my apartment watching this game. And all I remember was first and third, Edgar Martinez at the plate. Jack McDowell was the pitcher. And he hung a slider to Edgar Martinez where he hit into the corner in the old Kingdom. And I was on the same horse that Ken Griffey Jr. was on to try to make it home, slide in before the tag was placed. And it was. And I went so crazy. And at the time that this happened, that was what? Maybe 9 o'clock. No, let me see. What time did that game start? 4:09, 4:19. So that was what? 8:28. So yeah, it was about 8:30 at night. And I opened up the windows and I screamed at the top of my lungs, Yankees are done. Yankees are out. Ha, ha, ha. I was just yelling at the top of my lungs like a nutcase. And not that I was pretty much hanging out the window. And I lived on the 5th floor, by the way, hanging out of the window, yelling like a lunatic. And I had to have my boy and my ex-girlfriend trying to reel me in and be like, yo, what are you doing? What are you, crazy? Blah, 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 yelling and screaming on top of your lungs. Ah, 30 years ago tonight. So can I have the baseball gods, wherever you may be, as I'm looking up here at the ceiling, but the baseball gods, could we have a situation where Toronto could knock out the Yankees tonight? Because the Yankee fan, I know they're going to puff their chest out, and Aaron Judge is back, and we're going back to Toronto, and so on and so forth. Could I just have a moment where tonight, and I had the pillows fluffed up, ready to go. So now the pillows are laying flat because until they get that last out, then I'll fluff them up. But I want to have a party tomorrow, not only on the podcast pregame, but on the podcast as well. Yeah, let's end this once for all. Let's put the Yankee fans out of their misery, please, because I do not want to see the Yankees win. Do not, ever. I've seen enough World Series titles for my life, for a million lifetimes. As an 8-year-old, I saw Reggie hit 3 home runs, which is going to be part of a sports history segment later this month on the channel. So you definitely got to stay tuned for that at JAYREELZ. And look, I'm giving the Yankees some shine. I know what they've done in the history of the sport. I got to give them the credit, of course. But I've seen enough World Series wins. 77, 78, 96, 98, 99, 2000, 2009. That's 7 titles. Enough. And they made it last year thanks to my guy Bio's team where they embarrassed the Yankees. But I've seen enough. No more, please. So I love how I was able to pull that up. October 8th, 1995. Please. Please. Let me see this happen. All right. Let's get back down to earth here. All right. I see some comments there. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about a game 5. Let's see what happens tonight. Do I think the Yankees will win? Only because they're pitching a bullpen game. This isn't to me about Cam Schlittler because he's not going to, come on, seriously. If he's going to go 8 innings, not give up a run, strike out 12 with no walks and 5, give up 5 hits or less than that, I mean, the next, I'll come out with vodka and I'll have to drink vodka on the next live stream. How's that? And even if he goes 7 innings and he strikes out 10 and he gives up 4 hits and doesn't walk about it, he's got to go 8. He's got to go 8 innings, first of all. Second of all, he's going to have to match his strikeout total or go above that, give up 5 hits, and not walk a batter. If he does that, I'm drinking vodka next Wednesday. Talk about that's how confident I feel that he's not going to even come close to that. So that's what we have there. And it's documented. So it's not like, oh, well, now if he, let's say he goes, my luck, he'll throw a complete game gem, 3 hit, no walks, 15 strikeouts, and oh my goodness, that'd be my luck. It would. Oh, geez. Please. Could Vlad just hit like 5 bombs tonight? I mean, that 5's too much. I mean, 5 home runs in a game. I mean, that's nobody's done that in history. I don't even think anyone's done that in history of baseball. If they did, that had to be in the dead ball area back in the 20s and 30s. All right, so before I get to the rest of the other comments here, yeah, podcast pregame, we know about that. I'll get back to it. Yeah, Elimination Day. I see some comments. Let me see what we got there. Oh, my man LD's in the house. All right, cheers. James D, what's up, my man? Cole, of course. Good afternoon. Vlad, I'm sorry I can't be positive about yesterday's garbage. Yeah. Uh-oh. Love that you don't like the Yankees. I hate the Red Sox. I know, and then my guy Lee's in the room, and he's a big Yankee fan, and I know I'm going crazy here, like just being anti-Yankee. But, of course, if I'm face-to-face with Yankee fans that know the sport and that I know I can have conversations with, I'm as cool as a cucumber because I don't talk smack. I don't talk – and, of course, I talk smack now because I'm a little infuriated, whatever. And I've texted back and forth with Lee, old friend of mine I go way back with, where I've been civil. I'm not – trying to rub any salt in the wound. I'm just being as fair as possible. But it's when I see the 20-year-old Yankee fan, when I see the Yankee fan that feels like they're entitled, and I've seen a lot of this stuff on social media, and it's just like, come on, guys, really? All right, now you're back in the series. And I think the series is going back to Toronto. But it's almost as if, oh, yeah, we got the series in the bag. Can we relax? That's all I got to say about that. Cole, that's all I'm saying. I'm over the Tigers this season. Put a fork in me. I'm done. Yes, we're going to get to that in a second. Yes, Bio, of course, has the brooms out, which that'd be great because I don't want to see the Phillies win either. Toronto better stop on the Yanks tonight. Give the Yanks another win, and that momentum will roll over. Although I think Friday in Toronto, Max Fried, he's pitched awful up there, and I understand he's due to pitch a good game. And they're going to have Kevin Gossman, and they could also use Ye Savage to do a piggyback role. So that would favor the Blue Jays. But yeah, they couldn't keep a foot. No, they could not, and that's what happened. Blackjack McDowell, yes. Those days of the Chicago White Sox. As a Michigan fan, as soon as you said Rich Rodriguez, first thing that came to my mind was, no, I understand. Yeah, Rich Rodriguez. Oh, I remember those years. Not good. And for the Jays to keep a starter off the roster for extra bullpen arm plan. Yeah, not for nothing. Let me look that up because I was talking about this last night to my father-in-law. What happened to Jose Barrios? Oh, elbow issue. All right. And I was curious to find out because I didn't know if it was an elbow. I didn't know if it was a forearm. And Max Scherzer, he's washed too. So, I mean, and listen, if this was Max Scherzer 5-6 years ago, he would have probably pitched the game last night. Or he probably would have pitched game one, come to think of it. And then Gossman and then Ye Savage. But I got news for you. Yeah, because I was thinking about Barrios. Like, why? How is he not on the roster? What's happening there? So, let's see. And then what do we got here? I can overnight you some party supplies. Hey, that'd be great. All right, here goes LD, my man. That was a heartbreaking moment for me, but then they brought Torre and the rest was history. Oh, yeah, let's go back to that. I know LD's probably thinking to me, he's like, man, JAYREELZ is out of his gourd when he talks about the Yankees that way. He certainly doesn't show that when we exchange text or face-to-face because I know you're a good Yankee fan, Lee. I know that. And I could talk to good Yankee fans. I could be civil. I don't have to rub it in, even though I know my wife says, oh, but he hates the Yankees. But it's like, yeah, but I'm not that type of fan. As you guys and gals well know, yeah, I can talk about the Yankees now and whatever and my frustration that they came from behind and all that. But I don't, throughout the regular year and even throughout the playoffs, there's not one peep until the Yankees do not win a title. So, and then I'll say what I have to say, but then that's it. I'm not going to rant and rave for 3 days and weeks on end. I'll have my moment. And thankfully, I have this platform that I can share because even if it was a situation where, let's say the Yankees win this series, let's say even if the Yankees go to and win the World Series, heaven forbid. But let's just say if they do that, I will post on all my socials how, and I'd give credit. I'd have to because for what it is that I do, I'd have to be fair here. I got to be objective despite my disdain. But that would be a day where I'm sure all the Yankee fans will come out and want to get at me. But that's the point in doing something like this. I'm not going to run and hide. I'm not going to be the guy that, let's say if the Yankees do win a World Series this year or next or whatever it may be, that, well, now I got to, whatever. I got to run away or maybe I'll come back in January or in the middle of the football season. No. I got to take it. As much as I'm going to dish it, and only I dish it one time a year, but I also have to take it too. But yeah, that was a banana. Then Joe Torre, remember Clueless Joe, LD, which was the headline on the back of the Daily News. And all he did was win 4 out of 5 and went to 5 out of 6 World Series. And really 6 of 8 because then the Marlins 2 years after that. So, yeah. If Yanks lose, I'm sure we'll be happy. You know what? It's funny. And Keith, listen, I love him. I think he's great. He's been good to me. He's been on my on the podcast last year. I bumped into him last week right outside of Yankee Stadium. I mean, the guy is great vibes. I know he chose the Mets and the Met fan. I get that. And it would have been easier for me to come back at him, whatever. I said, nope, I'm going to lay low. Because if by any chance, whether it be tonight, Friday night, or in the next series, or maybe even the series after that, if the opposing team records the last out of the season, then I could exhale. But, yeah, he's a great guy. And who knows, maybe I could have him on depending on the schedule because I know him working the overnights and especially with the season over, who knows, maybe once this run is over, I'm going to ask him. So, James, thank you for that. And I know it's tough because he works, 7 to 12? But if I could have him on a future live, maybe in the coming weeks after the postseason, because then I could get to him with the trolling and all that. We could kind of unpack that. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to see if I can get him on live. Yeah, not recorded on a podcast. I want him on live. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, you got that right, Bio. I mean, that's why when you saw what happened in the wild card round where you had Skubal and Garrett Crochet pitching those game ones, there's nothing like a starting pitcher who's on his game that is just dominant. And sadly, baseball in 2025, that's not the case. They want to get these guys out. They want to put fresh arms in there. They want to see 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Yeah, what did that do yesterday for Aaron Judge? A guy who going into that batter hit 2 home runs off of him. And I understand he probably wasn't going to put anybody else in at that point, but the analytics. Fishing Angel. I was going to say good morning. Good afternoon. How are you? So disappointing in the Tigers. Yeah, I'm going to get to them next. I'm going to get through the comments first, and then I'll get to the Tigers next. You're going to look back at this Judge era, and it will be like how people discuss Garrett Root, Ted Williams guys. I know, yeah, he's going to win the MVP this year, and I talked about that last night with my father-in-law. He says, do you think the catcher, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners, is going to win? I say he's put up good numbers. He put up historic numbers, but Judge destroys them in every category. And you could have given the MVP to Judge as early as before the 4th of July. I mean, he was on a torrid clip, and then, of course, he hurt his elbow. He was on the IL, and then he was slow to come back as far as his offensive production goes. But then in September, he got back on it. But, yeah, I mean, and people could talk about how – and he's going to hit 500 home runs. I mean, he's going to the Hall of Fame on roller skates. He's going to win 3 MVPs in 4 years. And, yeah, I mean, the guy – and he plays great defense. He made that great catch. This was when on Santander after Ernie Clement hit the double. This is when they tied the game. This was in the top of the 5th where then he made that diving catch. I mean, the guy does it all. You cannot knock Aaron Judge. And to me, by far, and I understand there's going to be people, Bio, who I know is a huge Dodger fan, and Shohei Ohtani, but it's a good argument. If you were to start a baseball team today, and I'm sure a lot of people would pick Ohtani because he pitches, and that's a big advantage. And I could see a lot of people wanting to choose Ohtani in that regard. But you know what? Choosing Judge is, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. And I get it. People are going to say, Ohtani's a DH, whatever, but he puts up prodigious numbers just like Judge has. Now, he hasn't hit 60 or 62 like Judge has, but you know, Ohtani, he's probably going to be on the verge of winning. We talk about Aaron Judge winning 3 MVPs in 4 years. Ohtani's on the verge of winning 4 MVPs in 5 years. I mean, so, yeah. I mean, you can banter back and forth. Oh, no, you start a team with Judge or Ohtani. And Ohtani's, a couple years younger? And listen, to me, there's no argument. If you say Ohtani, I agree. And if you say Judge, I agree too. Maybe a slight edge, again, Ohtani with the pitching aspect. And Judge is a monster. Come on. And I understand, up until this postseason, he's done nothing. 0. But now he's squashing that. But tonight is another big game. If he strikes out with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th and they're down 4-2, sadly, that home run last night and everything he did from the Red Sox series to this series is going to go out the window. So you got to keep that in mind too. So he's not out of the woods yet, but he's certainly well on his way. And Lee, I'm sure you can agree to that. Not Red Sox. Oh, my apologies. Not Red Sox, Red Star. Oh, okay, Red Sox from Boston. Oh, because I know you said that with the Yankees, I thought you referred to that. So let me ask you this, Pop. So the Red Star, is that the EuroLeague team? Just so I'm clear. And you don't like the Red Sox, which is fine because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room that don't like the Red Sox either. So, And I'm sure you're returning to Red Star, the Communist Pigs. Yes. Lions news yesterday. Cornerback Toronto out for a month, October. Yeah, and they obviously defense is not their strong point. Really, their secondary is. Although I do like Kirby Joseph but no, you lose a corner like that, that's big. Fishing Angel. Kind of want to watch the Tigers. Fishing Angel, the only thing I could say to that is this. Could you imagine me down the stretch, and I was just reading your comments earlier about, I'm hoping that your Mets win. Think positive, which I try to, but that's what happens when you watch the Mets. It's not good. But I'm glad you're good overall, not just in the sports mode. But, yeah, I'm going to get to the Tigers, I promise. I changed my thumbnail to Angel Wings in the Clouds. You know what's funny? I was looking at that, and I said to myself, those are Angel Wings, but what's that in the background with the beam of light? I love it. Very nice. All right, here we go, bio. It was just amazing to see Ohtani with 55 home runs, strikeout Schwarber at 56 home runs, surreal moment. And those are the two guys for MVP. And I know I mentioned at one point that Schwarber. Now, remember, this is a regular season award. Ohtani's going to get it because based on the metrics, and that's what people are going to look at, he's probably going to win it close. I would think that the closer margin would be Ohtani to Schwarber than Judge to Raleigh as far as the MVP race. I mean, Schwarber's been a monster all year, and so is Raleigh. But Raleigh's batting .240, and I understand he broke the most home runs for switch hitter, Mariner history, all that. Ken Griffey, etc. But the other metrics, you can't even match to Judge. OPS, slugging, on base, led the league in batting. I mean, what more can you say? But Ohtani to Schwarber, that's going to be an interesting race to see who's going to be the MVP. At one point, I thought it was going to be Schwarber, but something tells me it's going to be Ohtani because of the metrics. They're going to look at that across the board. And just like I thought for a split second, maybe Raleigh could win this thing. Because if you take Raleigh off that team, just like if you take Judge off the team, but if you take Judge off the team, you still have Stanton, you still have Chisholm, you still have Ben Rice who has power. But I get it. Judge is Judge. So, unfortunately, I can't argue that in the least. All right, now let me get to the Tigers. Let me bring up my graphic here. Mariners 1 win away from their first NLCS in 24 years. That was 2001, which, by the way, they got smoked by the Yankees. That was the 116-46 Seattle Mariner team, which happened to be the rookie year of a one Ichiro Suzuki, who just got into the Hall of Fame. And they just spanked them in 5 games. Now, will it be a rematch? Obviously, we'll have to wait and see on that. But, yeah, last night, Jack Flaherty was a guy that's hit or miss. I watched the first couple of innings of that game because then it went to the Yankee game and I was locked in on that. But, yeah, that was a very discouraging loss. Mariners seem like they finally woke up. Now, they don't have a big-time offense in my eyes. I understand Eugenio Suarez. I understand Julio Rodriguez. Excuse me. Josh Naylor. I mean, they do have some punch in that lineup, but that lineup doesn't scare you. That's not the Philly lineup. That's not the Dodger lineup. That's not the Yankee lineup. And even to a certain degree, even the Blue Jay lineup is a little bit misleading. I understand they get all those home runs there over the weekend and tallied 23 runs in the 2 games. But if you ask me, would you rather have Schwarber, Harper, Turner, Real Muto, Castellanos, or Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, etc. The Yankee lineup, we've pretty much talked about it. Those lineups are better than Toronto, even Seattle for that matter. And, yeah, they mastered the ball yesterday when they had to. And now you have to wonder whether or not Casey Mize is going to have to save your season. I think the Tigers, it's an afternoon game. It's going to be sunny out there. I would think that they would find a way to win this game because they found a way to win games down the stretch of the season, especially when the season was imploding on them, considering that the Guardians overtook them. But they did win that final game in Cleveland there that Thursday. They did win that Saturday afternoon game in Boston in order for them to secure a playoff spot. They did win game 1 and 3 in Cleveland to exact revenge against the Guardians who overtook them for the division. And they did steal game 1. I can see them winning today's game. Now, they don't have to play from in front. They just can't have Seattle jump on them early. So let's say first inning it's 2-0, then it becomes 4-0, because then the crowd's going to be out, and that's it. If they're down 1-0, they're down 2-0, but they respond just like the Yankees did last night. They were down 2-0, they got a run. They were down 6-1, they got 2 runs. If they get down, they're going to have to respond quickly because the longer the game goes without them scoring, that crowd's going to get tight. And that's it. It's going to cast over the team. Forget it. But I think they can push it to game 5. And if it is a game 5, they do have Tyler Skubal. And Skubal can match up better than anyone on that in that Mariner rotation. So that would be the saving grace. And I think that they're going to win today. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be low scoring. If the Tigers do win, I mean, if the Mariners win, who knows? Maybe now they got their bats together. They feel like, all right, now we got our equilibrium back. We're one game away from closing this out. Who knows? But hopefully the Tigers will realize that, all right, here we are, elimination game. We just went through this last Thursday in Cleveland, but now we're at home. Come on, let's go out there, give our fans something to cheer about, and go ahead and win the game. Now, I'm not going to speak on if it goes to game 5. I would like Skubal over just about anybody in a game 5, but we got to get there first before we could even unpack that. So, and I'm rooting for the Tigers. I got nothing against the Mariners. And I got news for you. Mariners, who had a big second half and down the stretch, if they win this series, whether it's Yankees or Toronto, a lot of people are going to feel as if Seattle could finally get there. This is a team that's never been to a World Series. In fact, they're the only team in Major League Baseball that is not playing the World Series. Think about that. All the other teams have, even the Rays, Diamondbacks, as we know, Toronto, I mean, it's been a million years since they've been in a World Series, but all the other teams in baseball have been in a World Series, except for Seattle. So who knows? Maybe the magic carpet ride for them right now is trending north, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not they clinch today or there will be a game 5. All right, I'll get to the comments here and see where we're at. And for those who are just tuning in, I don't know, Cole, I don't know if you got to see this earlier, but as I promised, I know this doesn't look clear to you. Yeah, no, that's not swamp water or pond water or anything like that. That is water from an actual coconut. There you go. Yes, so this isn't Vita Coco. This isn't, no knock to them, or some of the other coconut water brands that you see out there. Right from the source. So this isn't from a factory that got heated up and is sitting in a carton with an expiration date. Absolutely not. So cheers to you guys. Comments. Oh, my God. We got to know. Of course. Rhoda back in the house. We'll get to that in a minute. Hold on. Let me get to bio. All right. I saw that with bio. In the end. That's right. That's the bottom line. What's that? The old Cab Calloway song, but switch the words around a little bit. That it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Do that. No, don't mean a thing if you ain't got that ring. I'm not talking about wedding ring either. I'm talking about the championship ring. So, Bio, you're 1,000% right about that. I feel you. Metrics don't mean that much anymore, maybe in baseball. Oh, Pop, if I could tell you right now, as I've said a million times, they try to figure the game out before the game is played. They have these meetings, the front office, the manager, the analytics people, to try to figure out matchups, to try to figure out how to – it's almost as if they're role-playing before the game starts, and you can't do that. Sports, you got to go with your gut. Sports, you got to go with the eye test. If a guy – and here's a great case in point. And I'm sure you probably didn't watch. I know baseball's not your thing, but – here's the best example that I could say. When Toronto in game 2 of this series had a pitcher that was throwing a no-hitter, and I get it, he wasn't going to pitch 9 innings. There's no way in this day and age, and it's sad because could you imagine this kid who's had 4 starts is going to possibly pitch a no-hitter? Probably wouldn't have, but you never know, and we'll never know. But he's pitching into the 6th inning. He hasn't given up a hit, walked 1 guy, and he struck out 11 batters, or maybe 10 or 11. So what happens? He's in the 6th inning. He gets 1 out. He's thrown 78 pitches. Usually the barometer is 100 to 105 before you take a pitcher out, depending. But in this day and age, once you get to 100, everybody's on alert. Oh, we got to take him out. Oh, we got to bring in the relief pitcher. So mind you, got 1 out, 6th inning, 78 pitches. They took him out. Why? Why are we doing that? Because they probably look to say, you know what? They're going to go 3rd time around the batting order. They're going to catch up to his pitches, and therefore let's save him from getting beat up or from giving up runs or hits or whatever. The game was 12-0 at the time. I believe it was 13-0 may have been. You mean to tell me that you're taking him out, pitching a no-hitter with one out in the sixth inning because you want to bring your bullpen in? Eye test, not iPad. Not like, oh, the matchups. Oh, third time around the order. Oh, wait a minute. This guy, the Yankees never seen this guy. They couldn't hit this guy. They couldn't hit him with a tree trunk. There's no way. But no, we got to take him out. It's a must because we got to bring in the bullpen. And what did the bullpen do from that point on the rest of the game? And that was in the sixth inning. So they had how many outs to play with? 11 outs to play with before the game was over. So in those 11 outs, which they did get, they gave up 7 runs. That's why that Blue Jay bullpen is awful. And they're throwing a bullpen game today. Oh, my goodness. All right, here we go. Tatsuya and Mai. I love the names. I love the aliases. It's your boy Jonathan, Everyday Chips, Metropolitan, / Rhoda, / Baseball Purist, / Emergency Podcast, I believe. You got it all. And I love it. Let's see what you got, Tatsuya. Blue Jays and Brewers hitters don't strike out. They don't strike out, you're right, but Shane Bieber, oh, he's so washed. He is washed. I don't want to say that, but yeah, watching that last night, I would curse him out. I was like, you're washed. And I know he's coming back from Tommy John. I'm just too strong there, but yeah, they don't strike out, but you couldn't tell last night. In fact, the Yankees last night, I think they struck out only 6 times, where in the 2 previous games, they struck out 21, for what that's worth. Cole, Carpenter, Green, Torque have to show up today, or yeah, they have to. They have to hit today. I totally agree. If the Tigers win, yeah, I hope so too, Fishing Angel. I really do. And that would be fascinating to see Scooble in that spot, Game 5. Oh, I want to see it. I thought the Yankees were cooked last night, but I was wrong. You know what's funny? Tatsuya, even in the third inning when they scored, when they got up 6-1, I said to myself, I said, no, it's still the third inning. If it was the 5th inning, 6th inning, maybe, even though there was still plenty of game to go, but I said, no, it's way too early. And sure enough, they scored those 2 runs and the Judge home run. And yeah, do I need to rehash all that? This is the same movie as last year with the Tigers and the ALDS. I know, the same movies. Oh, Lord knows. Same movie with the Mets. I feel you. Well, it would only be the same. Let me think. Well, you guys won Game 3 last year, right? Because then the Guardians won Game 4. Yeah, I think that was the case. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, I think the Guardians won in let's see, 2024. Here we go. Isn't Baseball Reference the best? And lucky I have it right here. Hold on. Picked the wrong series. Cleveland, Detroit. Wasn't Cleveland down 2-1? Yes, they were. They were down 2-1. And then the Guardians. Yeah, I believe the Tigers, weren't they up 4-2? Before I clicked the box score, I believe the Tigers were up 4-2. I want to say top 7, and the Guardians scored 3 runs in that inning. No, I was close. Tigers were up 3-2, top 7, and the Guardians scored 2 runs. How did they score those runs in the 7th? I got to get a play-by-play. I don't know if they have the play-by-play here. No, I remember that. They were up 3-2. They scored 2 in the 7th. Maybe it was on a home run. Let me see. David Fry. Yep. David Fry had a 2-run homer to make it 4-3. And then they led 5-3, and they gave up a run in the bottom of the 9th. I remember that. And then they lost Game 5, as we know. I know Scooble gave up the grand slam to Lane Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see here. I know Allen Iverson was on First Take today. And you know me, listen, I can't watch First Take. First Take is just brutal. And we can talk about that if we like. Yeah, because I just see Iverson discuss his low point in sobriety, and I see him in the background, and I see that, it looks like he was on First Take. Yep. And Iverson's one of my all-time favorites. He's in a handful of all-time favorite athletes. Now, I watched him in the days of Georgetown, because I'm a huge Georgetown Hoya fan. I guess I can go back on YouTube and watch that, even though it's going to be softball. And I know Stephen A. has a relationship with Allen Iverson dating back to his days at the Philadelphia Inquirer. But please, let me get Iverson on this. I mean, I'll talk about his life, but I want to talk about those Georgetown days. And he was only there for 2 years. The matchup against Marbury at the Garden in his sophomore year. The Big East final in 96. That one, I still think about that to this day. Sick to my stomach. The Georgetown had an 11-point lead with about 2:50 to go in the game. And then Ray Allen had a terrible game that day. And Allen Iverson was not good either. But Allen hit this acrobatic shot. It was almost Allen Houston-like against Miami in Game 5 of the 98 opening round. And Ray Allen hit this acrobatic shot, and they come down the court, and Allen Iverson misses a layup, and then Jerome Williams had to put back and missed it. Oh, my goodness. I want to talk about that stuff. That's the thing. Everybody wants to talk about AI. And listen, I love Allen Iverson. But they're going to rehash the same thing over and over. His style, buck the trends, the cornrows, the tattoos, and everybody talks about that. Mind you, Dennis Rodman he was the first player to rock tattoos before Iverson did. Go back and look at the tape. Now, more so in his... Now, he got to the Bulls 96, which was Allen Iverson's rookie year. But he had tattoos even when he left the Pistons and he bounced around. He was with the Lakers and he was the Mavericks. He was the first one that had... At least he had sleeves. I don't know about all over, but everybody thinks that Iverson was the one. But I guess for that generation, he was that guy. I get it. Now here I am talking about Allen Iverson, which maybe Pop, Vlado, I'm sure you appreciate. But Iverson is, listen, that's my guy. All right, so now I digress. My apologies here, people. Let's see where we're at here. Same movie. Tatsuya, Aaron Judge redeemed himself with his postseason. So far, I gave the example before. If it's 4-2, 5-3, 6-4, you can put whatever score you want. And he comes up with the bases loaded tonight in the bottom of the 8th inning and strikes out and the Yankees lose. Oh, nobody will remember that home run he hit yesterday. Oh, they'll remember it, but this will supersede that. So he's coming like a lion. He's like, wait, my 205 career postseason batting average coming into this October, yeah, he could squash that right now. But his story is still being written. And if he has his moment where, for whatever the reason, one more time, bottom of the 8th, bottom of the 7th, his last time up, and he can wreck the game and he doesn't, that's awesome. I love coconut water. It's so good. Oh, I know. It's the best, especially after a long run, which I plan to do later. I need to run. I haven't run since Saturday. So I got to do that. Oh, how could sports be such a love-hate relationship? Oh, Cole. Cole, we could talk about that forever and ever and ever. Sports breaks your heart more than anything. More than anything. And you should know, being a Michigan fan, considering the Georgia loss, the TCU loss, not to bring up bad memories, but then you follow that up with beating Alabama, and then obviously against Washington. Where, yeah, it's euphoric. It's something that you could never even process or imagine when you go through the pain and suffering. And that's the whole point of being a diehard fan, that you stick by your team and you just hope that one day, someday, your team gets to the mountaintop and you can celebrate and say, wow, this was all worth it. Despite the fact that they're probably going to break your heart for about God knows how many years after that, because unless you have a crystal ball and say, oh, in the year 2034, Michigan's going to win again, you'd be like, all right, sucks. I got to wait another 9 years. But all right, if you're going to guarantee me a title in 2034 and God willing I'm alive to see it, then I'll sign up for it. It is such a love-hate relationship. That's like me. Again, I hate to bring up the Mets when they lost that final Sunday, and I told everybody how they're going to lose. They have no shot or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's a day where I hate sports. I hate it. I didn't want to see it. I hate it. But, of course, I keep coming back anyway because it's my passion. In every sport, MVP should be on the top of everything, I guess. But, okay, I'm learning. Oh, on the top of everything. Oh, you mean on top of the best in their sport, I'm sure you're referring to, right? Pop? Yeah, listen, when you got a guy like Aaron Judge, I mean, the guy he's going to win another MVP, like I mentioned earlier, 3 and 4 years. And there's a lot to be expected, especially for the team that he plays for. So he could have all these big regular seasons, but this postseason notwithstanding, but you have to be able to back it up. And when you back it up, that's what makes it even more sweeter. So in that regard, yes, you're right. Meanwhile, the Brewers are just quietly moving right along. Cubs thought they had something this year. Yeah, they could get swept. But now, and you're right about that, Bio, but here's the other thing. What they do in the next round is when I'm really going to be impressed, because it is the Cubs. And Craig Counsell, the former manager, and that's not to knock or dismiss the Cubs right away. Who knows? Maybe they'll steal a game today and extend the series. But I want to see them do this against the Dodgers. And you know what's going to happen? I'm bringing this up now. Receipts. And if you listen to the podcast, if the Brewers and Dodgers win today, Bio, don't answer this. How did the Brewers do against the Dodgers in the regular season this year? You're probably thinking, oh, yeah, the Brewers-Dodgers, that must have been a good regular season. What, they probably split their games. Maybe the Dodgers won 4-2. Did the Brewers win the season series? Maybe they did. Maybe they won 4-2. They did not. And you're going to hear all that talk, especially if the ends today. Because if I look at the NL and ALCS schedule real quick, I believe the AL starts Saturday and the NL Sunday. Hold on. All right, it's to be determined, because right now they have Game 5 on Saturday. So chances are, if both series end tonight, Game 1 is going to be Saturday, because the National League will play Saturday because the American League will play Sunday. If the American League series goes 5 games, that'll be Friday. So the turnaround time will be Sunday, which means, yeah, you see, that's to be determined. Unless they're going to keep it that way, I don't know. But I would think Game 1 is going to be Saturday if the NLDSs conclude tonight, because they have Monday Game 1 NLCS and Game 2 the ALCS. So maybe that will change. Right now, that's where they have it set up. So the National League Championship Series right now is going to start Monday, but that could change based on what happens tonight. But the Brewers this year, Bio, if you probably wrote it in the room, I appreciate that. You could say it now. I mean, I'm sure. Cole, okay, same movie, different order. Yes. The Brewers went 6-0 against the Dodgers this year. And let's just say that the NLCS starts Monday. The Dodgers are going to hear that all weekend long. They're going to hear, not that they have no shot, of course, but they're going to hear how the Brewers swept you guys, how the Brewers are a much more functional team, how, yeah, they may not have the big star, but they do have good starting pitching, good bullpen, a solid, definitely not spectacular lineup, play great defense, smart baseball, that those are the elements to a championship winning team. And they're going to hear that. And you mean to tell me, I'll go right now and say that if it's Dodgers Brewers and the Brewers have home field, just like they did in 2018, and we saw what happened there. And they got shut out 5-0 in Game 7, I might add. But the Dodgers will win that series, and I think they'll win in 6 games. So even if it does go back to Milwaukee, they'll find a way to win that Game 6. Now, if that's the case, I'll preview it. I'll go through it as we get closer. So something to keep in mind here as we move it along. All right, what do we have here? And I got a few more comments, and I got to get to the other 2 series. Are you going to make a last day of 2025 video tomorrow if the Yankees lose tonight? A last day of 2025? What? Well, I usually record a video when the Yankees lose, and I'll post it on my social media, and I'll post it on my YouTube channel. I'll do it as a short. Yeah, if the Yankees lose tonight, I will do that. I have to. Or it'll probably be tonight, but then I'll do on the podcast, and even on my podcast pregame tomorrow, we'll do something celebratory. Now, I'm not going to go out and buy party favors or whatever, but let's see if that's the case. Yeah, but I'll do a post-mortem. Rest in peace. I don't have a Yankee flag, but that'll be at half-mast, I'm sure, throughout the Bronx and the tri-state area. So, yes, I will do that. I hope Mark Sanchez goes to jail. How do you fight with a... Yeah, that is just... I mean, obviously we weren't there. We don't know. But what are we doing? And Mark Sanchez, I mean, he just threw his whole career in the toilet. Maybe, I don't know, mental health going on. He was drinking. I don't know. That's a mess. It's coming out he was an abusive alcoholic, and yes, he deserves to go to prison. Abusive alcoholic. Interesting. I didn't hear about that, Cole. Listen, I'm certainly not doubting you but yeah, because how does anybody do that? And I wonder, obviously he's going to have to go to rehab, number one. Number two, I get it that the guy stabbed him, but out of self-defense, because here he is, he's 69 years old. I mean, I'm sure he's not built like The Rock. But, yeah. It's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, listen, he's probably going to have to do something. He's been arrested on felony charges. I don't know what the laws are in Indianapolis, but, I mean, Mark, what do we – listen, if he's not well – and I understand he's an alcoholic. Hopefully he gets help. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to knock. But again, he was just pretty much starting out in broadcasting. He was doing the color commentary on NFL games, and he just flushed that sucker down the toilet. Is this a sports channel or revisiting Miami Inc.? Brent, what's happening, my man, north of the border? Revisiting Miami Inc.? What did I say earlier that has to do with... See, this is what happens when I'm catching up on the comments. So I got to backtrack. Is this a revisiting Miami Inc.? I used to watch that show, by the way. Ami James. Shout out to, I believe the guy's name was Yoshi. May he rest in peace. Darren. Chris Garver. Not that I know those guys, but just from watching the show. But I don't know. I'm trying to backtrack. Maybe you probably wrote it on the bottom there, Miami Inc. I don't know why, but was I talking about tattoos? Jeez. Trust me, there's not alcohol in this, speaking of which. Or maybe that went over my head, Brent. You're going to have to enlighten me on that. My apologies. Dennis Rodman is a pioneer of that style. AI is a copy, but a hell of a player. Well, Rodman, as we all know, was an agitator, but he was a great defender, great rebounder. And can I throw this out there? This is for you, Pop, because I know you're a basketball fan. I got to throw this out there. And basketball will start 2 weeks from yesterday. All right, let me sit up here. And I don't care what people say. I really don't. And I know I'm probably in the majority when it comes to this. And if you're still in the room, you could also attest to this too, because you're a big basketball fan. To say that Draymond Green, and if you're going to say poor man's, he's a homeless version of Dennis Rodman. But to say that there's a comparison between Dennis Rodman and Draymond Green is a flat-out insult. And listen, I couldn't stand Dennis Rodman, especially in the days when he was in Detroit, because when he went up against the Celtics, throwing elbows and acting all crazy, and this was prior to his persona and what he become. But for Rodman, I mean, think about this. And don't let me pull up the numbers because this stuff top of my head. He was, I believe, Defensive Player of the Year twice, where I believe Draymond Green was once. 4 times All-NBA defense. Draymond, I believe, was twice. But here's the thing that separates him from Draymond by not a mile, by 100 miles. And I get it when people think of the NBA, and we all know it's about scoring. I get that. So when people talk about how many scoring titles did AI have, I believe he had 4. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, we could go down the list. Do you know how many times that Dennis Rodman led the league in rebounding? If you had to take a guess, people, how many times? And I'll scroll down to the bottom of these comments just to get an idea. If you had to take a guess how many times Dennis Rodman led the NBA in rebounding, you'll fall out of your chair. Not once, not twice, not thrice, not 5 times. Try 7. Has Draymond Green ever become close to winning a rebounding title, let alone 7. Dennis Rodman, whether it was he, Moses Malone, who arguably is the best offensive rebounder of all time. And Moses was a monster also. 3-time MVP, was MVP of that 81 team that went to the finals against the Celtics when they were 40 and 42, I might add. But the 2 greatest offensive rebounders in NBA history, you want to say maybe Wilt, as I like to say, Wilt in one game against Bill Russell in a playoff game had 55 rebounds. I mean, do we even need to go there? And people want to underestimate. That's the thing about sports in this day and age. They're prisoners of the moment. They think Draymond Green is a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's going to get into the Hall of Fame because, unfortunately, they let everybody in the Hall of Fame in this day and age. But if I had a vote, the only way Draymond Green gets to the Hall of Fame is if he buys a ticket. And let me say this. That is not a knock. That is not an insult to say that he is not a Hall of Famer. To be a Hall of Famer, you don't have to be good. You don't have to be very good. You have to be starting off with great. And then you have to be elite and then immortal. That is a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, not only do you have to be great, one more time, people, you have to be elite. That means like 10-time All-NBA first team. Think Kobe, think Duncan. And let's talk about just in the last 20 years. Think Kobe, think Duncan, think LeBron, think Giannis, think KD, think Steph Curry, where when you hear the name, oh, it's Hall of Famer. I mean, there's no debate. Draymond Green, a Hall of Famer? What? And you can talk about, well, Dennis Rodman never scored the ball. That's the thing. Dennis Rodman dominated by playing defense and rebounding. So he did 2 things great. Draymond Green, he's a great defender. Not a great rebounder. Let's pull up those rebounding stats all the time. He's probably averaging, 8 rebounds a game? 8? I mean, come on. LeBron is 40 years old. He's averaging 8 rebounds a game. Maybe a little bit less than that. Maybe 7. But stop already. Stop with the Draymond. And people say, oh, it's slander. JAYREELZ, you don't watch basketball. You know what you're talking about. Trust me. And all you can do is compare numbers. And I'm not trying to compare errors, whatever, but people want to say, oh, he's this version of Dennis Rodman because of the attitude and because he's rebounding this and that. Nonsense. If I start reading off the numbers of Dennis Rodman, you'll be like, wow, I never knew that. Yeah. And trust me, I'm not the biggest Dennis Rodman fan, and he's a Hall of Famer, as we know. He has 5 rings. I understand the rings were a product of the teams that he played on, the Bad Boy Pistons and, of course, the Bulls there in the mid-90s, mid to late 90s. Well, you know what? Now you got me in the rabbit hole, so I'm going to just do this. Dennis Rodman. You ready for this, people? And this is for my guy, Pop Vlad, because he's a big NBA fan, so I'm sure I'm speaking his language right now. And here we go. You ready for this? Defensive Player of the Year twice was, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-time first team All-NBA defense. And here are the numbers. You ready for this? Offensive rebounds, he led 5 times. 6.4, 5.9, 5.7, 5.6, 5.6. That's offensive rebounds per game. And now here are the 7. I mean, look at these numbers. 18.7 rebounds, 18.3 rebounds, 17.3, 16.8, 14.9, 16.1, 15.0. I mean, seriously? And that's just rebounds. And I get it. People say, oh, come on, Jerry, this is rebounds. Nobody cares. Yeah. How about second chance points? How about getting big rebounds in big spots? Hello? So I don't want to hear, oh, rebound. No. Yeah, I understand the name of the game is scoring the ball, but now let's go to Draymond. 12 years in the league, and Rodman, I believe, played from what? First year was 87. He played 13 years. Here we go. Yeah, it shows 9-time All-Defensive, but is he first team? All right. 2-time All-NBA. Wait, no. Hold on. Let me go down here. Defensive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-time defensive first, and he's still writing out his career. That's all right. It's fine. All right, you ready to fall off your table right now? If you had to take a guess what Draymond Green's lifetime average is for rebounds, his lifetime is 6.9. Dennis Rodman almost gets 6 offensive rebounds a game compared to what Draymond Green gets in a game. And they play the same position. I do not want to hear it. I do not. It's over. It's out. It's done. And he's had moments in his career where he actually chucked threes and he scored points. Now, he didn't average a ton of points. 14 a game. What is it? 11, 7, 14, 10, 11 after that. And I'm not even comparing the scoring because Dennis Rodman, he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean off a boat. And a lot of it was putbacks and dunks and an occasional three. But, I mean, Draymond's a better offensive player, but that's not saying much because I know. Now all of a sudden I got to the whole Draymond thing, which if I bored you guys to tears, my apologies. But, oh, yeah, Rodman and the Tats had crazy hair with the Spurs for the Bulls. Yeah, so that's why when people talk about, Iverson with the tattoos and blah, blah, no, Dennis Rodman had that first. Now, I know he rocked the cornrows before anybody did because not many players are rocking cornrows in the NBA prior to Iverson. But listen, we know Iverson's an icon in my eyes. If you want to see heartbreak, you see my paycheck. I hear that, Tatsuya. Yeah. What's the old saying? Overworked and underpaid. Cole, it's chilly and windy as hell here in Michigan. It's going to be hard as hell to hit home runs in Comerica. It's going to be sunny. I thought I saw it like sitting in the low 60s, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a factor for sure. Chilly and windy. Yeah, I think Detroit's going to win today. Brent, I know I got to get to the rest of this stuff. It's 1:11, and I feel like I've been just babbling about things that I wasn't planning on talking about, but it's fun. I mean, this is, it's a sports podcast. If I bored you with the comparisons there, my apologies. Oh, no comparison ever. 2 completely errors. Yeah, no, I understand. Green couldn't hold Green's jockstrap. Oh, you mean Green couldn't hold Robbins? Yes. I agree. I would take, without question. Agreed. Couldn't hold right. No, we got you there, Brent. Isaiah Thomas talking about how Rodman will count. Yeah. No, that's a science. That's an art. And he was fantastic. He did. Rodman did give him fits. That is for sure. You're right about that, James D. 100%. Oh, I went back to that comment. All right, now let me get to the other things here before I sign off. I still got a few things to touch on, too, so I'll try to get this done by 2 p.m. All right, we talked about this a little bit before. I tell you, the Phillies, 2 tough losses. Cubs had a 3-0 lead there in game 2, and he gave it right back. Do I see the Phillies or Cubs winning today? I'm going to say, well, let's put it this way. Even though the Cubs are at home and they probably have a better chance to win than the Phillies do, but maybe the Phillies needed to get away from home. Now, Yamamoto's on the mound tonight, so who knows? But I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking that they're going to throw dirt on the Phillies tonight. Watch them come out and put up a 4 spot in the first inning. Sorry, Bio. Cover your ears. I would think that the Dodgers will find a way tonight. If the Phillies have any pride, I could see them winning, though. And the Cubs, yeah, I can see the Brewers putting them out of their misery. Although, listen, I got to give them a little more credit than that. Who's pitching for the Cubs today? I should know this off the top of my head. Matchups. Oh, Jameson Taillon. Quinn Priester, who's had a good year for Milwaukee. And Taillon's okay. Yeah, I would say, I don't know. I think the Brewers are going to win today. They'll find a way. Oh, is that right? So Louis Varland, I see this here. Louis Varland, who gave up the 3-run homer to Judge last night, is your opener today. So he's going to see Judge in the first inning. Watch Grisham get on first, and then he's going to have to pitch to Judge, and it's 2-0, and then forget about it. The floodgates will open. Oh, jeez. And Aaron Nola, who I can understand he has his moments, but yeah, Nola, he would scare me if I'm a Philly fan. Yeah. I think, what the hell? I'll go out on a limb. I think the Dodgers and the Brewers will sweep today. And I think you're going to see game fives in the American League. Now, maybe I'd like to see one game tomorrow because I don't want tomorrow to be no baseball if that's the case. So maybe if one of those two teams go in, I think the Phillies have a better shot to win, even with the Cubs at home. I don't know why. I know the Wrigley faithful, and I just Philly would show me something if they win today. Even if they lose game 4, but if they get swept, and even if they fight tooth and nail, that's still a bad look if you ask me. So that's what you have there with the baseball people, as I'm looking forward to. Let's see, we got some comments here. Oh, look at this. God, I love Jerry Jones. I know. And what he was saying, he was directing that, he said, towards Cowboy fans, which, I mean, Jerry Jones, why? I mean, why are you doing that to begin with? That 3-ring circus will never leave town. That's the thing. That's what I'd be afraid of if I'm a Philly fan. If Yamamoto's on, forget it. Phillies are going home. Oh, thank you, Brent. I appreciate it. Yes, it's free. It helps the channel out. Thank you for that plug. I sincerely, gratefully appreciate that and appreciate you too. And Bio, yes, they're on a mission. I think they are too. I mean, look at how they performed here in this postseason so far. Now, all right, they beat the Reds. I know, no big whoop. It's the Reds. But game 1, they're down 3-0. Kike Hernandez gets the big hit to put them within 3-2, and then Teoscar gets the home run. And then you bring in it wasn't even Suzuki. It was Alex Vesia to get the out in game 1. And then what you saw there, I understand they were hanging by a fingernail there on Monday night, which what an incredible play by Mookie Betts on the wheel play there to get that runner out at third, Castellanos, when the Phillies cut it to 4-3 there, bottom 9. Yeah, the Dodgers, listen, they're the favorites. Yeah, I know. We were talking 162-0. Now, listen, if they run the table, it's crazy because a lot of people thought they were going to be – their over-under win total was 104.5, and obviously they fell way short of that. But if they run the table, listen, I'm sure they're going to lose one game here. If they run the table, then people are going to talk about them as an all-time team. But who knows? They go 13-2 or some ridiculous number like that. People are going to put them in that same breath. Now, hey, Bio. Yes, UCLA, which had a huge win against Penn State the other day. Oof. If you're a Nittany Lion fan, you had to be sick to your stomach. That's for sure. And with that being said, let me turn my attention to the NFL because you do have a decent NFL Week 6. Notwithstanding tomorrow because you have Eagles and Giants out at MetLife and Jackson Dart, who came back down to earth last week in New Orleans after a very good game against the Chargers the week prior. So let's see whether or not the Giants will show up and make it a good game against an Eagle team who suffered their first loss, as you know, against Denver on Sunday. But the schedule, excuse me. Denver at New York. I got to put the air on. It's warm in here. My apologies. Denver at New York, but there's a problem with that. The game is in London. So the Jets are looking at 0-6. Arizona at Indy, Chargers at Miami, New England at New Orleans, no thanks. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Now, Cleveland traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals, so Dylan Gabriel's your starter. Now, everybody's going to say, when is Shedeur Sanders going to get his shot? And that was the topic of discussion the week prior on First Take. I said, oh, geez, what are we doing here? We're talking about Shedeur Sanders. He's not even a starter. But they were talking about that than the baseball. And it's supposed to be a sports show. Yes, me getting on First Take yet again. Dallas at Carolina. Seattle at Jacksonville. Not bad. Rams at Baltimore. Still no Lamar Jackson, so that's not looking good. And this is what I get. Can I talk about this for a second? This is what I get for picking the Ravens as an over because I should have known better. Now, who would have thought Lamar Jackson was going to be hurt and would have blown that opening game against Buffalo? But their over-under total was 11.5. And I thought they would win at least 12, maybe 13 games. Do you know if they lose Sunday, they have to run the table in order for me to win that? And it's not a bet, but to win that prediction. How about that? Well, listen, I can't stand the Ravens, so they could go 1-16 and I'll be ecstatic. So, it's just a pick. Thankfully, I didn't put money on it, so I'm good to go there. Tennessee at Vegas, Cincinnati at Green Bay, San Francisco at Tampa. That's a good game. Detroit to Kansas City. Need I say more? But it's decent because you have San Francisco, Tampa, Detroit to Kansas City, Seattle at Jacksonville, although not sexy, but that's a good game. Yeah, and then you have a doubleheader Mondays, Buffalo at Atlanta and Chicago at Washington. Yeah, not the greatest of games, but decent, as I mentioned. All right, let's see. Colts St. Jermaine Pratt 2 days after release by Raiders. Yeah, because they just finished seeing him when Las Vegas got spanked by the Colts the other day. All right, so that's it with the NFL. Nothing else to really discuss there. As far as the college goes, a very good schedule this week. And that starts Saturday, where you'll have, listen, Ohio State, Illinois doesn't tickle my fancy because I understand the game is in Champlain, but if this is a situation where Illinois is in the game midway through the third quarter in the fourth quarter, I'd be shocked. So even though the game in their building, I said Champaign, let me enunciate better. Alabama, Missouri, good game there. That's at high noon. And then in the 3:30 window, Indiana at Oregon. This is more on Indiana than it is anybody else. Let me see what they're going to do here as they try to keep themselves in good stead with the committee and the college football playoff. But I got to see it when I believe it. The Red River Shootout, Oklahoma and Texas. That is in the Cotton Bowl. And then you have, let's see, one last. Yeah, what's a night game? Yeah, Oklahoma. I see it. That's Oklahoma Red River Shootout. Hold on. Then you have Michigan at USC for my guy Cole. And USC's 4-1. That could be a tricky game. Georgia at Auburn. That could be tricky, but But that's what you got there in college football. You do have some very intriguing games. And yes, I'll be all over that. Looking forward to that as it'll take place on Saturday. Although Saturday I'll be out in Long Island. I'll be at a wedding during that time from 1 to 6. So you got to keep that in mind. All right, let's see. So that's the college. Let me pull up the page. Well, before I do that, very good college week Saturday, or week 7 Saturday. So my apologies for not putting up the graphic. Let's see. All right, so Utah and Penn State. All right, I'm just reading some comments here before I get to the right ones. Bye, I'm a good fan. USC, yes. Sad to see all those empty seats for that game, but I guess not for the next home game. No, they should be packed for that next one there, I would think. Cole, unfortunately, has been that way for a while. And then New Orleans to stay. Because maybe even our head coach. Yeah. And Michigan will win. Let's go blue. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the comment. Oh, here we go. He will be a lifer. He'll be back as OC. That's from, of course, buyout out on the West Coast. All right, now your NHL season is underway. I didn't post a preview, but I did post 3 shorts on it. My top storylines, my over-unders, which I feel pretty confident about. And speaking of over-unders, I'm going to get to that with baseball after this. And for analysis and predictions on the year, definitely want to check out that. I posted that yesterday. So for those who are curious, you want to go back and check, I appreciate it. But I didn't talk about my baseball over-unders from last week. Thankfully, I was above 500, 4-2. All right, is there anything to write home about? No, but 4-2 is better than 3-3, or I could have been 2-4. Because as I pull up these numbers, I had to root for the Astros on the last day of the season, and we know the Astros have been in a tailspin where the Angels were 72.5, and what did they end up with? 72 wins. They needed that 73rd in order for me to lose that, where thankfully that was far from the case. And let's see what else I had here. Yeah, I had Detroit 83.5 as an over. Milwaukee 82.5 as an over. Then I had LA Angels 72.5. And then my other win was Tampa 80.5. My two losses were teams that were bad that I thought were going to be worse, or one I thought was going to be better, the other worse. Washington, I picked them as an over at 70.5, but they fell way short of that. And then I picked the White Sox as an under, and they certainly fell way short, or actually was above that. So I didn't mention that on the podcast or anywhere else, so I just thought to share that with you guys and gals. But for what that's worth, that's what you have there with the over-unders. And, yeah, with the NHL season underway, if you want to get my predictions, get thoughts on a few different things, please go to the channel and give that a peep. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, I see some comments. I'll get to that in a moment. Jets lock up forward. Oh, hold on. All right, Connor from the Connor. Okay. Is that my phone? I think I left it over there. Looking here. Hold on. The biting barb that spurred Chelsea Gray and the Aces? Yeah, I know. That's game 3 tonight. I need my glasses. Why do I always forget my glasses? If you see me over here like squinting, like I just and staring into spaces, because I'm trying to concentrate and read the small print. So please, I don't want you to think that I'm over here like, am I in a daze or am I lost in the sauce? Yeah, let me not. I'm going to strain my eyes even more doing that. So, yeah, WNBA for those who care. Game 3 tonight. If the Aces win, that series is over. They're up 2-0 on the Mercury. Just thought to throw that in there. And one last thing I want to get to before I sign off. My battery's low. Uh-oh, what is this? Wait a minute. What? The NCAA is allowing Division I athletes to bet on professional sports? Oh, that's great. So you're only grooming gamblers so that, and I understand not everybody in college athletics are going to make it to the pros, but let's just say for argument's sake, Arch Manning. Oh, I can bet on professional sports? Great. I'm going to bet on my uncle's team, the Colts or the Broncos or of course, Peyton Manning, that is, or Eli Manning, the Giants. And then he gets to the pros, and that's it. You can't bet anymore. What is that? It's bad enough that you've had the situation in Cleveland with Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, the relievers, Jonte Porter, the brother of Michael Porter, a couple of people, other people in Major League Baseball, and then, of course, the Calvin Ridleys of the world, the Jameson Williams, who got suspended, but they didn't get lifetime bans that they did in baseball, basketball with Porter. Who knows what's going to happen with Terry Rozier, the point guard of the Heat, by way of Charlotte and Boston. So, what? And that was one, as I was reading it, as I was squinting, I saw the headline. I said, wait a minute, what does this say? Allowing Division I athletes to bet on professional sports. Yo, they just don't care. They just don't. And like I said, they get to the pros, oh, now you got to stop gambling. But wait a minute, but I could have done that in college. Well, yeah, you could, but now you're in the pros, you can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. I could expound on that further, but maybe I'll save that for the podcast tomorrow. That is terrible. All right, we got comments here. Let me see. Cole. Oh, here we go. Hockey. Yes. And Bio goes Kings go. He's out in LA, so he knows. Bio, I agree if the head coach don't make it, in my opinion, he's next for the head coaching job. Wait, was that did I scroll up again? Oh, Neuheisel. Yes. What do I think about the Kings? I know, and that's why I didn't do that NHL preview, because I wanted to go, like I really wanted to massage it, but because of my timing and all that was bad, that's why I did these quick shorts. If you've seen it, I appreciate it. If you haven't, you can definitely go back to the channel. I think the Kings, and I know they have a bad taste in their mouth after what happened last year against Edmonton. Now, this is it for Anze Kopitar. I know he's in his final year. The West is loaded, man. Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, even Winnipeg. I would say Winnipeg too. Edmonton. I think Anaheim will have a good year. I picked them as an over, by the way. I don't think they're in that stratosphere. But I think the Kings are going to have a good year. I think I could see them be, near 100 points. Do I see them going far? That's the thing, man, because as you all know, it's about the ring. They can have a big regular season, and I do like – is Darcy Kemper still your goalie? Let me double check that. I mean, you have to have big-time goaltending in the postseason. Wasn't Kemper your goaltender last year? Yeah, I'm just pulling up your roster now. Oh, no, I'm thinking of what you call it. Yeah, he is still your goalie, but he's not your starter anymore, right? Can I see Anton Forsberg? Yeah, I remember Kemper was because Kemper had bounced around. He was obviously in Colorado, and he is a guy that won a Cup 2 with Colorado that year. But, yeah, I know I'd be a little bit skeptical about your goaltending. No, I do like your team. I know it's funny because with Kopitar and the last remaining part of the Stanley Cup teams, and now you're talking about 11 to 13 years ago, Drew Doughty is another one. Yeah, listen, do I think they could go past? I think they can go far. Listen, I would think if they play Edmonton again, I'd be worried, and they need to change the format in the NHL. They just really need to. I do like the Kings. I just wonder whether or not they can get past the first round. And I would think they'd want to play Edmonton again just to exercise those demons. They played them the last 4 years in a row. And that's another reason why I don't like this format either. So, no, but I think they'll be good this year. I'm not in love with your goaltending. I don't know how Forsberg's done in the past. I'm not too familiar with him. Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. He was 11-12-3 last year. 2.72 ERA. And Kemper was, let me see. I know Kemper lost last night to Colorado. And you're playing in Vegas tonight. That's the thing, man. That is the East is weak. It's kind of like the NBA. It's weak in comparison to the West. The only teams in the East I can really think of, Carolina. I have to give Florida their due, although they're not getting to a Cup final this year. No Barkov. Kachuk's not coming back. Matt Kachuk's not coming back until December. And they're going to, I don't want to say coast, but they're kind of going to be like the Dodgers. They're going to try to just remain healthy through the regular season, and then once they get to April, that's it. So I don't think they're going to have a big-time year. And I picked them as an under, by the way. I think that number was 103.5. They're going to be an under this year. Yeah, I think I like it. I think they're going to have another 99 to 103-point year, but that first round, man, and the West, look at all these teams. The East is Carolina. I'm not even going to say Washington this year, although they had, to me, that year last year was more of an aberration. I don't even think they're that good. And look, they got bounced in the second round. By Carolina, I understand. But they had the top seed in the sport. No, in the East. I picked the Devils to go to a final. Yeah, there's no other teams. Toronto, you got to trust Toronto in a big spot. And listen, that's to my guy Brent. I don't know if he's still around. Yeah, the West is just loaded, man. So that's, to me, I think it's going to be tough. But I think they're probably going to go out on a high note, considering that with Kopitar and who knows with Doughty. I'm sure he's going to continue to play. But, yeah, let's see. What's this? Reach prediction for Stanley Cup final Predators. Oh, I picked the Predators as an under this year too, by the way. But, hey, why not? Something different. And I didn't want to look at a lot of the prognosticators and what they chosen, but if I had to take a guess, I'm sure everybody picked Carolina and either Vegas or Dallas for the final. That's my guess. Yeah, I didn't want to watch. I don't like to watch any of the preseason stuff. Same for the NBA. The only thing I want to look at is the over-under totals just so I could play around with that. But, yeah. And Cole, Red Wings and 6 bring back to cut the hockey town. And they haven't won one since what, 08? So it's been a long time. For sure. I'm hoping the Red Wings will win the Stanley Cup this year. Yeah, there you go. I hear you, Fishing Angel. 100%. Lord Stanley looks better in L.A. Yeah, Bio, of course. Bio says, not so fast. Red Wings will win as long as they keep their team in the game. By the goalie not letting it go. Yeah. That's important. NBA refs like Tim Donaghy appear. Ooh, that wouldn't be good there. 4 years in a row. You got it, Bio. 100%. Groundhog Day with Edmonton. Yeah, absolutely. Will a Canadian team ever win a Stanley Cup again? It's been what? Going on 33 years. Canadians in 93. When they beat, Bio, cover your ears, the LA Kings. 32 years. 93. There you go. Bio's on top of it. I love it. My sports kooks. The infamous, yeah. Oh, I know. That was in game 2, I believe. Because the Kings won game 1. And that happened in the final. I want to say it was in the final minute. You talk about gamesmanship. That was ballsy. Who was the coach for the Canadians at that time? Was it Jacques Demers? I think it was Jacques Demers. Man, that was ballsy. And he did that in the final. I want to say it was definitely the final 2 minutes. It may have even been the final minute of the game. And what happened? They got a power play out of it. They were down by a goal. They scored a power play goal, tied the game, and then won in overtime. Oh, man, that is brutal. But I'm sorry, Bio. Listen. Bio's on top of it. I love it. My sports kooks. Isn't that great when you have people who are like-minded? There's no other better feeling. Patrick Waugh, yeah, he was in that series. Now he's the coach of my team. Going nowhere fast. And they play the Penguins tomorrow night. Last 4 Conn Smythe Trophy winners are Canadians. 8 Canadians won the Cup with Florida last season and 13-24. That's interesting. Last 4 Conn Smythe Trophy winners are Canadians. Interesting. Last 4. So let me think. So wait, that's 2024. Wait. So the last non-Canadian to win a Conn Smythe Trophy was, then it had to be Andrei Vasilevsky, right? 2020 in the bubble. That's my guess. I'm pulling that out. Yeah, because in 21, so that's 22, 23, 24, 25. So yes, that's 21. So I say Vasilevsky because then 22 was Cale Makar. 23 was it Jonathan Marchessault for Vegas? Maybe Marchessault off the top of my head. I can't remember. And then the back-to-back years was McDavid. And then did Sam Reinhart win last year? Yeah, I don't think it was Kachuk. I think it was Reinhart. So, yeah. That makes sense. Brent all over it, which I love. I love it when my guys are on top of everything. Wait, where's the stat? Here we go. So let's see. 41% of NHL Canadian, so they win a cup every year. Oh, yeah, without question. Patrick Waugh, the King, 93. Yes, I remember. I didn't put up Brent's stat that I just read from before. Oh, Bush League. I know. Bush League, but it turned out to be a brilliant move by Demers, which is it's unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, that's probably one of the more gutsier calls. And it's underrated in sports history, too, because nobody watches hockey. Nobody really follows it. But when you think about some of the gutsiest calls of all time, especially in a championship setting, not just regular season or playoff, championship, you think of Sean Payton, the onside kick in Super Bowl 44. Obviously, for Demers to do that, I mean, that was, boy, I mean, that's otherworldly. And then they score a power play to tie the game. Oh, my goodness. I mean, wow. What else you got? Championship setting. Yeah, there's a few others off the top of my head, but those are the two that come to mind right off the bat. Brent, other than that playoff, I thought the Kings should have had a better outcome. Oh, 93? Well, listen, they had that epic 7-game series against the Maple Leafs in the previous round. And when you win game 1 in Montreal, I mean, oh, wait. Yeah, that was in Montreal, yeah, because then they won the next 4 after that. And that was in LA at the old Forum, which is still up. Oh, I just put that up there. Cole, 90s Red Wing, heartbreak. Oh, yeah. Swept by the Devils. But, yeah, early 90s. And then you won in 97, 98 too, back-to-back that time. Overtime, yes, it was. I remember it well. I was just old enough to stay in sports heartbroken. Oh, yeah. Doug Gilmour, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, he was a feisty son of a gun. Good one there, guys. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let me just put up one last thing. And I'm just putting this up here now, but when it's official, I'll let you know. And I don't have my phone with me because even if I went to my phone, I guess I could still do that. All right. New channel strictly for the podcast. This goes to those who watch the podcast on YouTube. The reason why I'm pivoting from posting my podcast, and trust me, the date will come out, but I'm just giving you a heads up now because I would think probably in the weeks to come, I'm going to transition my Monday and Wednesday podcast onto the YouTube channel, which is just at the JAYREELZ Podcast. So if you want, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And again, this is just strictly for the podcast. The only reason why is because, and although I'm only getting about a dozen views, maybe a little more, a little less, is I want to try to put it on another channel to see what the algorithm is going to do just because it's podcast related, because I understand that I'm not getting an abundance of views on it. And I get it. We live in a quick fix video clip age where the attention span is literally 60 seconds. But that's just a heads up. I'm not posting anything up there as of yet, but this is just a warning. And I'll still give you one more warning as to when that date will come where I'm going to start posting the podcast on the JAYREELZ Podcast YouTube channel. And it'll be strictly for that. So I understand it's a thing where you got to waffle back and forth or whatever. But one more time, it's just for the podcast. Anything that has to do with the podcast pre-games will be here. Anything that has to do with other content, which I have coming down the pike, sports history content, especially when it comes to baseball, obviously in the month of October with the Major League Baseball playoffs and the World Series. So that's coming down. And then next week into the following week. More so AL, NLCS into the World Series. So keep your eyes out for that. And my commentary as well as critique videos, which I haven't really put up. There hasn't really anything that I wanted to critique. Although I have one that I'm going to critique that I'm in the process of editing. And that's more now of a critique on the particular subject matter, but just piggybacking off of what was said by the creator and also adding a little bit more, I don't want to say pizzazz or whatever, but just adding a little bit more from my perspective to that. So that will be coming in the weeks to come as far as the new podcast channel, strictly for the podcast there. So if you want to watch that, because I know Brent, I know you watch the podcast. I know Cole, you do, Bio, and a few others. So just keep in mind. But again, you can subscribe now. No content will be up there until I put that first one up. And like I said, I'll give you guys more than enough of a heads up prior to me posting this so you know to check that. And I'm sure if you do subscribe, you'll see it pop up on your feed. And then, of course, you can take it from there. But, yeah, so that is what is happening. Any last thoughts on the chat room? I see a couple of chats here. Let's see. Almost hit a freaking monster. Oh, almost hit a monster deer the other day. Or the other night got lucky. Oh, this is you hunting. Yes, Fishing Angel. You too. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Got to go to work soon. No, I understand. Got to pay the bills. So thank you, Fishing Angel. I appreciate your participation always, as well as this gentleman here, Cole. And yes, Fishing Angel, I will keep you updated. And Cole, who I know is a big fisherman, almost got a deer there the other day. Deer the other night got lucky. So got lucky. So it means you did get it. That's what I'm assuming. Or almost got it. Oh, with our vehicle. Oh, okay, not hunting. I thought for a minute there, but maybe you were, yeah, well, that's even scarier. I mean, yeah, to think. Well, I'm glad that no one was hurt. I'm glad that your car wasn't damaged, and more so that you didn't have to worry about roadkill. Because anytime I see that, I just cringe. It was a giant monster, maybe not even a deer, maybe a big. Oh, geez, that big, huh? Wow. What about moose? Are there moose up in your neck of the woods? I know you get a lot of moose further west, Wyoming, Idaho. Have a great, yes. Baseball is life. Thank you, Bio. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go Dodgers tonight, of course. But, yeah. Maybe a Bigfoot, he says. Oh, we have them, but rare. Okay. Just curious. Because when you say monster or Bigfoot, whatever, who knows? And obviously, I'm sure you know what a moose looks like. Just thought to throw that in the mix as well. That'll do it, my good people. I know you got baseball coming up here at 2 o'clock, which is perfect for, even though I know, Cole, I know you're done with your team, but I will tune into that. Got to eat, got to continue editing, do a couple of things. Obviously, tomorrow's a big day for yours truly. Not that I'm expecting whatever, but it's an anniversary of mine. And, where's Miles? Miles, your birthday was yesterday. A late birthday shout out to Miles, my guy. So happy birthday to you. Sorry I got to catch at the tail end of this, but it just popped in my head because I know it's 2 days before my wedding anniversary. Tomorrow's 4 years. So wife and I will have a dinner date tomorrow night. And that's something to look forward to. 4 years and counting to my beloved. So early shout out to her. But as always, people, thank you so much for stopping by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about what's happening in the wonderful world of sports. A couple more comments here. Let's see. If we would have hit it, it would have went through the windshield. Dude, that would have been scary. And thankfully it didn't. Like I mentioned, first and foremost for you guys, your family, of course, your car. How do you report that to insurance? Be like, yeah, we hit a deer or a Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. And the insurance is going to probably laugh at that. And then obviously the situation with the deer or the Bigfoot, not having to peel that off of your car. Oh, yeah, who wants to do that? Yes, Cole, 4 years. It'll be 4 years tomorrow. Been together 12 as of next month. So, yes, a beautiful thing. Thank you, Fishing Angel. I appreciate that. Thank you, Cole. Appreciate that as well. Yes, got a while to catch up. Yeah, got going on 15. Shout out to you guys, to Cole and Fishing Angel. 15, and I hope you have 1,500 more. If we could ever be so lucky to live 1,500 more years. But you know what I'm saying. Hope you have many, many more down the road when that day comes. But that'll do it. I know Fishing Angel has to go, and I'm sure, Cole, you have to do the same. You're going to watch a ball game maybe, or who knows. Well, I hope they don't reel you in. It'll be 4-0 Tigers in the third inning. You're like, damn it, I got to watch. And then hopefully it doesn't implode from there. But any last thoughts? I'll read the comments before I say goodbye. Please subscribe, leave a comment. Like Brent said earlier, I appreciate that, even for those who are watching the replay of that. Latest edition of the podcast coming tomorrow. You know about the podcast pregame, of course, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow as well. Thanks to all for stopping by live or on the replay, as you well know. And one of these days, I'm going to do a live stream of a game. I was thinking about doing a Yankee game last night and maybe even tonight, but I don't want to bring bad luck because my thing will be like, yeah, before I get ready to stomp on their graves, then they're going to laugh at me. Until the body is cold, then I can start celebrating. So I just figure maybe as we get deeper, AL, NLCS, World Series, maybe I'll do one of the Dodgers Brewer games. So just keep that in mind. But that's what you have there, as always, people. And let me see the last couple of comments here. Going on 20 years together, that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations to you two. Yes, Cole, much appreciate you. Have a good day as well. Because as you well know, whether you do or do not know, in the blood and the DNA, talking sports since birth, it is one of my dearest passions in life. Whether it be family, whether it be sports, whether it be running, exercise, eating right, eating healthy, safe mind, safe space, safe place, good mind, good attitude, good vibes. That's what it's all about. Because if it's not any of those things, then why are we living? Right? And that's why I love the small community that we've built here. We had as many as 8 people in the chat today, which I'm grateful for you guys. And as long as I sit in front of this microphone and camera, you know I will deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens in the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are. The JAYREELZ live stream every Wednesday, high noon, 12 p.m. always comes live, correct, directed, in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the baseball today. And I'll see you bright and early on the podcast pregame tomorrow, 9:30, right here on YouTube. And until then, everybody, on the flip.